Up behind me, one of the pictures there, it turns around and says, beauty from ashes. And it's taken from Isaiah chapter 61, verses 1 to 3. And it's this beautiful couple of verses that talks about God sending someone to bind up the brokenhearted, to turn ashes into something beautiful. But from those passages, it just shows us this beautiful character of God, that he is a restoring God. And this is an example we see with God and his interactions with his people time and time and time again. So today I'm going to turn to a particular story where I only recently saw it from this perspective, and it just blew my mind that this is just how much God plans things out. Now, this is over in Genesis chapter 29, and this is the story of where Jacob meets Rachel, and their father Laban deceives Jacob and gives him Leah instead, and then gives him Rachel. And in that story, we see that it turns around and says in verse 31, now the Lord saw that Leah was unloved. So in this whole marriage, in that whole deception that happened, it started off with that Leah was unloved. And because of that, God opens up her wombs and she starts giving birth to a few sons. The third son that she gives birth to is named Levi. And the fourth son that she gives birth to is named Judah. Now, I don't know if those names kind of jumped out to you, but they are pretty significant tribes. The tribe of Levi was the tribe that was chosen to be able to oversee the whole temple. They were the priestly tribe. Out of the tribe of Levi was where the high priest, so that comes from Aaron's line in and of itself. So that's part of the tribe of Levi. Now the tribe of Judah, this is the king tribe. This is the tribe where we have King David. But it's also the tribe that we have Jesus. Jesus comes from this tribe. So here we see this really sad situation where Leah has been given to a man who didn't choose her, didn't want her. Her dad's done some deceptive and deceit to give her to this man. And he, at this stage, just doesn't love her. But God sees that, and he turns this situation that we would call a pile of ashes into something absolutely beautiful. From this situation of Leah being unloved comes the priest tribe, comes the Messiah. And I think that is just this really beautiful picture of the character of God, that when he turns around, when we see in Romans that verse of, for we know that all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. That verse just has such a rich and deep context to it. We look at a situation that we're in the middle of, and we might go, this just isn't good. And the answer to that is, it's because we're not at the end of the story, or because we're looking at it from the wrong side. Potentially that storm you've got to go through, that storm you've got to walk through, is the storm to build your character to be able to do what it is that God has ordained for you to do. And yes, walking through those storms is quite hard. We want that peaceful life. We want the no troubles. We want the lack of conflict. We want all these different things. But if you go into a gym and you're trying to build some muscle, you've got to put it under some stress. You got to put it under some strain. That is how you end up building the muscles. If you don't put any stress under, if you don't put any strain, you don't find out what you're capable of. Another idea that we see come up again and again in the Bible is this refiner's fire. And it's the picture of how when people get the gold, there's a gold they'll put into the fire, it bubbles away, melts up, and the impurities, they'll come up to the surface. Then they'll skim it away. Then again, the gold gets put into the fire, bubbles away, melts up, and it brings more impurity to the surface. I recently heard that the gold goes into the fire 7 times to get all the impurities to come up. So if you're in the middle of a trial, instead of going, God, please save me from the trial, please get me out of it, change the question to being, God, show me what it is that you want me to learn in this trial. Show me what it is in my heart that you're revealing so that we can clean it out, that we can skim it away. You already know what's in my heart. You already know what's in the depth of it. And we want to become more like God. So we go into that refiner's fire. He brings it up to the surface. Then it's our choice whether we're going to let God skim it away or whether we're going to say, nope, we want to keep that gunk there. That's our choice. But if we don't clear it away, we'll find ourselves in the same trial again and again and again and again until we learn the lesson. But also I think that's the encouragement that I wanted to bring from this passage, is that our God is a God who restores. Our God is a God that brings beauty from ashes, things that we didn't think could turn around and be the biggest blessing in our lives, because when we went through it, it felt like it was the biggest curse possible. When we get past it and we start seeing what God has done with it and we look back, it's just like, wow, God, you did all of that.